All right, here's my verdict on the Apollo's DA conversion versus the RME ADI-2 Pro. So how I did this test was I took the analog monitor out to the Apollo and fed them directly into source 2 on this monitor controller. And then I took ADAT out, going ADAT in on the RME to bypass the Apollo's DA converter, and then went XLR out of the RME into source 1 on the monitor controller. And the reason I did that was because the monitor out on this bypasses any digital outputs, because in console, you have to set digital output to ADAT in order for it to feed the RME, and then you set a Q to mirror ADAT 1 and 2. So basically, this is a true AB. I also set both to the same gain level and ran peak noise through them so that the same SPL and all that stuff, plus 24 dBu reference levels. So when you switch back and forth, there's no difference in volume. Now, if you switch back and forth quickly, you're not going to notice any difference. It's almost impossible. But when you let your ears adjust and then you switch back to the Apollo, it's like, whoa, there's a big difference there, like an immediate difference. So the RME just had a wider sound stage, way more detail in the high end, a lot more cohesion in the center. The low end was more defined. You could just hear more detail. It's just very precise and clear and open. And when you switch back to the Apollo, it basically just sounded like there was a blanket on top of the audio. It just sounded kind of like muffled and just compressed. And, you know, but again, both super high-end converters. Like, that is just comparing these two. And we're talking about small differences that I noticed. But, you know, that makes a big difference in the long run. Because when you're mixing or mastering and you have differences like that, all those little adjustments you make in the mix add up over time. And so the final product eventually will be better because you're hearing stuff better. Yeah. The other thing was the headphone amps. Big difference here. The Apollo has more voltage, I'll say that, so it has a little more punch to it. However, as you can see, if I set it past this mark, there's just so much noise, bro. It sounds like a tape machine's broken. And when you're trying to drive headphones with a lot of impedance, like 120 ohms, or these that have 470, dude, then you just get a lot of noise and a lot of distortion, and it's not good. Whereas this, there was zero noise. Like, again, back to the conversion, the sound quality was way better, way more open. I mean, just to an untrained ear, there is an obvious difference between listening to these in headphones. I always recommend RME to people, even to big studios, because there's no difference in the conversion in this and their flagship models, and you can get these for a pretty affordable price. Like, you can find a good deal on one of these for under $1,000 bucks. So yeah, man,